Captain Gaze. I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. I was just doing some prep, getting my station set up here last minute. Um, but yeah, I was feeling good today and decided it would be a good day to crack into that second bin of books that I managed to save from my personal collection and start the decontamination process for that. And I just figured, like, I had such a fun time, um, hanging out with everybody while I did it last time. It really made it go by much faster and feel way less like some sort of divine punishment and way more just like a fun, enjoyable activity. So I thought, you know what? It's last minute, but why not? Today we are joined by our very special friend, alas, poor Yorick. I knew him well. This is actually an anatomical model from the University of Florida that has changed hands many times through many roommates. No, not a cabbage. Contrary to popular belief, not in fact a cabbage. So he's gonna be just chilling out, and we're gonna clean him up. But he's been with me for many years now, many moves. He just somehow manages to survive, despite our poor lad has lost his jaw and most of his teeth. But he's hanging in there. Okay. So, again, gonna be doing the same process we did last time with the acetic acid, aka industrial strength vinegar. I'm sorry if you guys are hearing a kind of rumbling in the background. That is actually the fan that I have on to kind of keep the air circulating because the fumes from the vinegar are quite strong. And of course, the mycotoxin that is what we are trying to mitigate for is very volatile, and so it could as I, just handle the books, right, get thrown up into the air. And having this fan on to keep the air circulating is going to help us a lot. I'm going to get some paper towels, remember, because we'll have this for drips, I think, this time. Put this here for dripping. And we'll get another one for wiping the book itself down after we have scrubbed with our friend, the scrub brush. So that one for drying. And yeah, like, it's not going to be the most exciting stream in the world. Mostly just exciting for me. I'm happy to get my books out of my car finally. That's where they've been sitting in quarantine this whole time. Because the heat and the light are also a good way to decontaminate as long as it's dry. And it is very dry in my car right now, so they have been perfectly fine to sit in there and continue to just be in isolation so that they cannot contaminate anything else in the house. Okay. And so I have my big, thing of books. I don't know. Hang on really quick. I guess you guys can kind of see all of those. So that's what we're going to be trying to work our way through today. But hey, you know what? Speaking of Yorick, let's start with him. He could use some TLC. Shake off the excess vinegar, and then we'll just give him a little scrubby scrub. This might actually be the first time Yorick has been cleaned ever. Now that I think about it. Yeah. Oh, poor guy. Oh, that's all coming off of there. Okay, this might be the most satisfying one. we've got a... I think that's a bot, so let me just... Hang on. I know how to do this. No. No, okay. I don't know how to do that, apparently. Oh, because I'm not in... That's why. Okay, we'll just ignore that link that got posted. That is probably a bot. I just don't know how to get rid of it right now. Okay. Oh, wait. That's because I'm on... Ha 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 ha. Silly me. Nope. Never mind, I was wrong again. Okay. Man. Poor guy. Let's see, there you go. Yeah, you can actually kind of see the dirt coming off of him. Oh no. Forget books, Yorick is what needed it the worst. Goodness gracious. Buddy. It's okay, we're gonna get you cleaned up. And this is just a good example. If any of you guys were non-believers in the power of the vinegar, like, what? Zini, that's not a cleaning product. That's a salad dressing. Like, no, look at this. This is crazy. Spence! Hi, Spence! Vinegar is good for cleaning, but just keep in mind that this is not cleaning vinegar, right? Okay, this is from like the I went to like the hardware store and picked this up specifically. This is a industrial strength vinegar specifically for cleaning. But if you don't need something this strong, right? Like if you're looking for something a little more mild, let's say you're trying to like clean the stain out of a blouse or something, regular vinegar, Eoneth is absolutely right, would be fine. Work a treat. And that's going to be because of the amino acids, right, in the vinegar. Oh no! Big Bad Dirty Dog, this is not an actual skull. This is part of a anatomical model that used to live at the University of Florida in Gainesville. And I don't know what happened to him to dislodge him from his residence. All I know is that by the time we had met, it was at a house party at one of my friend's apartments, and you know, we've been together ever since. Eoneth and Beck Muffin can potentially attest to the fact that I'm not so great at respecting personal property while inebriated. Well, okay, let me put it this way. It's more like I'm not so good at checking my many pockets while inebriated to make sure I haven't put any treasures in there, you know, instinctively. Okay, here we go. Never intentional. I knew him quite well. Alas. Alas, poor Yorick. Alright. I think that'll do it. Wait till you guys see the napkin underneath. You're gonna be like, oh. So now I'm just gonna wipe him down. Oh, beautiful. He's so clean. Look at that. Years of muck and house parties just coming off my poor guy here. Like, you can see he's got kind of a yellow patina to him, and I'm sure part of that is the whatever treatment they used to kind of give it this bone texture and quality. But some of that is just dirt. There's no way. It's just grime and dust built up after years and years and years of habitation. So we're just gonna go ahead and finish wiping him down here. Right, this is where the spine would have connected, and this would have been a place where they would use a pin to hold the jaw in place. Right, he's missing his lower jaw. I used to have it. When we first met, he did in fact have his lower jaw. I don't know what became of it. Like I said, we've been through many moves, and I've managed to hang on to him all of this time, but that jaw could be anywhere. It could be anywhere. And yeah, look at all of that. Look at all of that muck and grime left on him after years. So yeah, he needed to be cleaned. It's cup-sized. It was cup-sized. It was the perfect amount of milk. I was thirsty. Oh, beautiful. Okay. Yorick, thank you for your participation. Just get the bridge of his nose cleaned up a little bit here. Occipital lobes cleaned up. Looking good. What a handsome lad. All right. Polonius, I wanted to name him Horatio at first, and in my heart his middle name is Horatio, because Horatio is one of my favorite characters, both in Hamlet and in CSI Miami. And he's like the world's first crime scene investigator, right? Because he is going around trying to figure out who's doing all these murders. And so but then that got too confusing, right? Because it's like, how can you have a skull named after something from Hamlet and not have it be York? That is just confusing way too many people. So middle name. Okay. And then this is just a really nice notebook that I had gotten with graph paper inside. I never actually had gotten around to using it yet. But this is where I'm going to write my schemes, my plots and schemes. Schemes and plots. Let's see. And of course it has the noble raccoon as the patron animal. Down a little bit. And then we're just gonna do a little scrubby scrub, right? And again, I know it's not as satisfying as watching Yorick get scrubbed, right? But just think, the same way all of that stuff all that nastiness was releasing up off of Yorick's surface, just because it's invisible doesn't mean that's not exactly what's happening as we clean off the book covers and the page edges, right, on all of these. It's just a little less satisfying, sadly, because we are not going to get that really visible, difference between the before and after. But I hope that just seeing the collection is kind of a good enough commiseration here. So let's get this nice and scrubbed. Scrub. Rub. Excellent. And now we just wipe it down. Get as much of that moisture off as we possibly can. I have to advise you, I'm in a group called Raccoon Army. Spence, say less. say less, Spence, because hang on. Without doing a face reveal, okay? I need to show you the shirt that I am literally wearing right now. Okay, wait. Okay, we're just gonna do one of these. Okay, literally, raccoons unite. Okay, hang on. Gotta get this back. There we go. Okay. Raccoon gang confirmed. Absolutely. Where is Yai? I needs to be here right now. Raccoon girly. We are with you, Spence. Raccoon gang, rise up. Ooh. So this is an interesting book we have next. It's a little bit of a blast from the past for me. A little known fact, something you guys might not know about me, is I once took a wilderness first responders course in order to get certified for wilderness first aid. And basically, the difference between wilderness first aid and just regular first aid is the proximity to actual hospital care you have. So if you are considered more than 30 minutes between you and paramedics, that's like the ambulance even getting to you, you're considered wilderness. And that can be for, multiple different reasons, right? Like, you could just be living somewhere really rural and remote, like on a farm or something, and it would just take that long or longer for the ambulance to even get out to you, right? And so in those situations, what wilderness first responders are trying to be prepared for is stabilizing your condition. Like, primarily, I kid you not, like, the number one takeaway I got from this class, even all these years later, is that the number one role of a wilderness first responder is to stabilize the patient until further help can arrive, basically. And to do that, you might have to get a little creative, because in a wilderness setting, you might not have access to things like a traction splint, or, a tourniquet, or so on and so forth, right? It's also, gonna make those kinds of recommendations about what you should have, right? So, like, you might not need a backboard and a traction splint all the time, because you could improvise one out of stuff that is usually around in most situations. But things like sterile gauze, antiseptic, like, you're going to want to make sure you have things like that. And then the other thing that I learned, honestly, from this course is that the number one reason that fatal accidents happen in the wilderness is because of a minor incident that happened earlier that was not treated correctly. So, for example, you've got a camper with a sunburn, a really bad sunburn, right? Because they didn't wear enough sunscreen and they're dehydrated. That is kind of like a minor issue, right? Like, a sunburn is not fatal. It's uncomfortable, but it's not fatal. Dehydration is very manageable. But the problem is, if you take the sunburn and you take the dehydration and you compound upon that with a dangerous environment, you're talking a higher likelihood that that camper is going to trip or fall or somehow otherwise injure themselves because they're not paying attention or they're not functioning at 100%, right? So the best thing you could possibly do is take into consideration the fact that, these minor things that are not really going to be fatal to anyone can add up very quickly in a wilderness setting, right? I mean, wilderness setting is not where you want to be dealing with like a heat stroke or a seizure or anything like that, as a result of just massive dehydration. But so this was my textbook. You guys can kind of see They've got some anatomical models. They've got like a bunch of fun pictures, like really to dive injuries. Oh yeah, no, don't talk to me about the bends. I could go the rest of my life without ever hearing about the bends, ever again. Thank you very much. But yeah, if you're interested in taking your own class, feel free to hit me up. I can recommend highly my course that I took. It was provided by Solo Wilderness Medicine, and I got to keep the textbook, so very fun, a great experience, and I highly recommend it for anybody who is really just like, you know, if you're an avid camper or hunter, fisher, outdoorsy type person, bird watcher, right? Like any situation where you're gonna be, like I said, more than 30 minutes away from emergency services, I can't recommend it enough. It was a very valuable class. This is a fun little pamphlet. It's not even like a properly printed book. It's just like a pamphlet. And as you can see, it even is like insanely typed up in this like old style. And this is from the Coral Castle. Here you can see of Miami, Florida, established 1936. The Coral Castle, let's see if I can find a picture of it from in here, is this bizarre tourist attraction. Here's a map. This dude, by himself as far as anybody can tell, made this massive like structure. This whole thing is a walled garden, okay? And it's made out of 150 tons of coral. And nobody knows how this motherfucker did it. Like, this was just like some guy in the 30s. He's like, I'm gonna build a castle. And everybody's like, what? And he's like, I'm gonna do it. And he just did. The walls of the castle are 29 tons. The north wall alone, my bad, the north wall alone is 150 tons. And it's like the Egyptians and the pyramids, but Florida man. You know, like he really did just build this huge mega structure and nobody knows how. Mostly by himself. Let me see if I can find, and then of course in the gift shop, right, is all of this insane shit about how like he built, like how he did it and who he was and the history of the castle. Right, the sundial, the 9-ton gate, and of course, this pamphlet, this booklet that just has Enigma of the Coral Castle, and of course it's represented amongst such like notable greats as the you know, the step pyramids of Mexico, the pyramids of Giza, right, like Paranormal Stone, England, you know, also Stonehenge. Like, okay, I don't think Coral Castle is quite as mysterious as Stonehenge, but certainly the Bradford Institute of Ultrascience would like you to believe so. Did gators help him write? Maybe. So this one is going to be a little tough because it's unfinished paper. And that is going to make it a little bit less moisture resistant, a little bit more absorbent. But this is one of those things where like this is such a bizarre little like piece of media that I would be so sad to lose it, right? Because like who knows if they even have these anymore. And who knows how much longer the attraction is going to be there. Probably millions of years considering what it's made out of, but still. Who the fuck builds a Stonehenge? Listen, if you're not bothered by Stonehenge, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Like, the fuck is Stonehenge? Guys, I was watching an archaeology video on Stonehenge, and they were comparing it to the ruin sites in Elden Ring, And so it just reminded me how frustrated I am about Stonehenge. I have been ever since I was a child. Like, I just need to know. And that frustration like bubbled over all of a sudden, and I turned to Eoneth one night and I just go, I need to talk to you about Stonehenge. And he, like, a light goes off in his heart. I can see it behind his eyes. Like, he's so excited all of a sudden. And he's like, listen, I'm going to let you finish. I am going to let you finish. I promise this is not like a mansplain. I am not trying to, like, you know, derail the conversation. But you have to see this video. And I was like, sure, whatever. But then he showed it to me, and actually he was, in fact, correct. I did have to see that video. For those of you guys wondering, it is, I think it's Lonely Island who did it. It's like just a whole song about this guy fucking being tortured by whatever the hell Stonehenge is. And I can relate. Oh, Ylvis. Okay, thank you. It is, in fact, not Lonely Island. It's the fellow who did the fox song. What does the fox say? Ay! Oh my god, I'm so glad you're here. It's like we summoned you. Spence and I were just talking about the panda. I'm not pandas. Oh my god, pandas are also black and white bandits that are funny, but not the ones that we mean here. Raccoons. Absolutely. We were talking about the raccoon nation, and I was like, where's my girl? Where is she? My raccoon army co-conspirator. And now she's here. Trash Panda Express. You are. Okay. So yeah, that's the Coral Castle. Actually, let me flip through and see if there's... I think this is like an overhead shot of the grounds, so you can see a better idea, right? This is a massive stone structure that he's made entirely out of that coral material that you find all over the place in Florida, right? Like, that has shells and broken bits, like, all stuffed in it. That's all what this is, coral, that he quarried somehow. Yeah, so anyway, this book is just like basically comparing the architecture of the Coral Castle to the architecture of other, you know, mysterious monoliths, and saying like, ooh, spooky, isn't it? And I'm like, oh gosh, leave it to Florida. All right. Next up, ooh, for all of my gamers out there, Final Fantasy X-2 Official Strategy Guide. Okay, who amongst us is old enough to remember when you couldn't just go online and look up a tutorial or a walkthrough of how to beat a video game, and so you had to go to the bookstore, right, and actually purchase some, like, super elaborate, right, like, game manual. And Final Fantasy made some great ones, right? Like, this is beautiful. It's full high gloss pages. Everything is in full color. All of the dungeon maps are here, so you can have, like, the maps of every area. And, of course, the character art. I was obsessed. You couldn't just put 3, you know, adorable lesbians in front of me and have me just react to that in a normal way as a child. I'm sure that wouldn't have any lasting effects on my psyche. But the funny thing about this is my brother and I, for the longest time when I was growing up, did not get along. He was like 9 years older than me and male, and it was the 90s, so we hadn't really like come very far in terms of the whole like, ew, boys are gross. And, you know, of course my brother had a different father, and he would be gone part of the week, and it would be difficult for us to bond. But as I got a little older and I got into video games, he noticed that I was playing Kingdom Hearts, and that I was playing Final Fantasy X. And I guess that was just like, he was like, oh, finally, like, she's into something I actually like. And then out of nowhere, for my birthday, like, without mentioning it, without talking about it at all, he got me these 2 game books. He got me this one for X-2, and he got me the other one for just base game 10. And at the time, it was so incredible because I could ask my mom for something, right? And if it was too specific of an item, if it was, I really want this book or this game, she would just, or, you know, if I, you know, deserved it, she would just give me however much it cost and then send me to buy it because she didn't want to bother, like, trying to figure out how to get a hold of my weird shit. And so for my brother to just, like, take it upon himself to just get them without mentioning it and then not say anything about it, like, first of all, what a tsundere. Love to see it. No one in my family knows how to socialize properly. But also, like, so yes, I do know that I could just look up all of this information online. You know, I don't have to meticulously try to clean the pages and preserve this, you know, 10-year-old, 20-year-old video game guide, right? But it has sentimental value. It reminds me of that awkward, you know, like teenage boy who is just trying to figure out how to relate to his weird half-sister. And this is the language that we found in common. Lesbians. Look, every flavor. Goth, sporty, femme, butch. You're good. You've got it all. Every flavor. Just woke up about to light your candle trying to beat Sonic Frontiers. Nice! Did you have any, dairy? Did you have any milk? We had cheesecake last night. Okay, here's the other one, as promised. The official strategy guide, right? How funny. But yeah, I can't imagine trying to beat Dark Souls or Demon Souls or any of those games without one of these. Back in the day, not to be like, back in our day, we had to walk uphill both ways in the snow. But like, it's just interesting, you know, the community in gaming is so responsive and they're able to respond so much faster than they ever could before. Thanks to, you know, like forums and fan sites and streamers and all sorts of stuff that make, I think, gaming itself way more accessible. Because you've got so many more options if you get stuck than just going out and buying a, however much this book would have been full price. Yeah, see, they wanted $15 for this at the time. In addition to however much you had just spent to get the game itself, right? Okay. Scrubby scrub. Looking good. Let's just wipe this down. Also, I don't care what anyone says, unpopular opinion incoming, but I actually don't hate the voice acting in 10-2. I mean, in 10. And 10-2, but in 10. I know. Everybody always likes to fucking rag on the whole, like, ha, 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 ha scene where they're, like, fake laughing. And I get it. It's silly. It's silly to watch. But it's actually such a sweet moment, and it's such a valid, like, coping strategy. You know, like the idea that if you're having anxiety or if you're having depression and you are struggling to break out of that feeling of just like hopelessness and ennui, that just belting out a big obnoxious laugh, even if you don't feel like it, is actually like a super valid piece of advice. I mean, it would definitely, you know, cause your brain to start moving along those pathways. And honestly, if you're goofy enough and silly enough about it, you might end up making yourself laugh. or making other people around you laugh. And where is the harm in that, I ask you? Oh, quick question. Do you want White Castle? I'll bring the phone if you want it. Yeah, well, okay, yeah. Let's do it. White Castle it is. But, this game book actually came with, well, yeah, the gym is coming after this. Look at what this came with. Riku's Overdrive, right? Because Riku from this game had a weird, like, steal mechanic that she could combine ingredients into other ingredients. And it almost felt random. Like, I thought it was random. But it turns out it's not. If you follow this extremely elaborate... Look at this thing. If you follow this extremely elaborate table... it'll tell you exactly what mixing will give you, which is just insane. I can imagine this now being on some sort of, like, Google Excel spreadsheet. Let's see. I just want a thingy. Oh. There we go. I think I found it. Oh boy. I didn't want to click this. Okay. Oh, back. There we go. Okay. Required. Okay, I guess we'll do that. No! Oh, okay, I see. Okay. I see. It's like you gotta pick each one. Okay. Wait, why aren't you... Okay. And French fries. French fries, please. We'll get a large, and then Edie can have some. As is our bargain. And then... Let's do that one. And... medium. Oh, ooh, look at it!
Yeah, they have the freestyle machines. Add flavors.
I don't want that one. I want that one. Yeah, ha ha ha! Lemonade Coke. That sounds terrifying. I'm afraid. Like, lemon in Coke is kind of good, so I see where they maybe are going with this. But at the same time, also just know. Okay, here you go. Thank you. Oh, you want White Castle too? I don't even know where they are, because I've only ever seen one in the entire state. Okay. So yeah, no, this is basically just a massive, like, just to give you an idea, look at this thing. It's still going. It's a massive poster. With her entire, like, spread on it, and then on the other side, I don't know who amongst you guys remembers 10's level up system, but they called it the sphere grid, right? And you had to, like, activate all of these grids in order to level everybody up. And so look, they show an entire map of the sphere grid for some reason. I don't know why you could ever want this, but here it is. Everybody's advancement paths. Wait, I can't. It's so hard to manipulate stuff in my big bulky gloves, but here. Look at this thing. Crazy. Honey, you have nothing to apologize for. I appreciate your diligence in making sure that I am fed. Okay, let's see. So I just keep this tucked in here. Storage purposes, right? Moving on. One of my old picture books from when I was really little. And I'm sure, shocking none of you, it is cats themed. Let's see. Let's get that dabbed off. Here we go. Backpack woman, I cannot cook, but I make sure everyone eats something. True, right? Same. It's basically both of us whenever EONF is too tired to cook. Yeah, get your food. Yeah, exactly. White Castle will be here when you get here. We will just have to go back. No problems. Solitaire says, one of my friends speed runs this game trying to challenge the record. Ooh. That's exciting. Yeah, I liked 10 a lot because of the combat system, right? It's turn style, but there are a lot of mechanics that affect the turn order, like haste, and Titus specifically, like, uses a lot of them, so if you have him in your party for the most part, like, you'll have access to a bunch of weird stuff that can change the turn order, and you can really, like, play with that until you have made the fight a little bit easier for yourself. But that cleaned off. Clean the pages. Ooh, this one is, I don't know if you guys can see, but this one is very damaged on the inside. Try to, like, kind of angle this so that you can see the pages. You see all the water stains on there? Yeah. That's not a huge surprise because this one is so old. It's much older than the others. So I think what I'm going to do for this one is actually take the jacket off, because the jacket is high gloss and is therefore less absorbent. Look though, the inside page is mice. There we go. Ugh, this one also doesn't smell great. But here, you can see some of this on the inside, right, where the gloss paper is a little bit less treated. You can see some of the moisture damage in here, right, this discoloration. And of course, this is just going to happen over time, right? This is an old book. And so a lot of this is just inevitable, kind of, unless you are able to store your books in like a proper climate-controlled facility. I'm not so worried about the staining. I just want to make sure that everything is decontaminated. So we are gonna run over this with the cloth, and just make sure that we get every area really well. And so the staining might remain, right? Like I might not ever actually be able to get this staining to lift, but at least it will be inert. It won't be spreading. It won't be darkening or getting worse. And at least it will be safe, right? It's not going to be toxic, right, to keep. So let's just go ahead and wipe down this really, really good. This is probably one of the oldest books that I have continuously owned in my collection. I have a lot of, books from thrift stores. I have a lot of books from resale bookstores, used bookstores, antique stores that are probably older. But this is one of the few books that I have continuously owned since I was a child. Okay, so we did what we can for the jacket. Now we just have to let it air dry, right? So that's good. Ugh. Sorry, I keep snuffling. It's the fumes from the vinegar, honestly. Okay, let's return to our friend here. I don't usually use the bristles on the pages, but I think for this one I am just going to delicately Hang on, let me angle it so you guys can see. I'm just gonna delicately, with a couple of the bristles, go in and try to like scrub up here and get that really, really well, because that seems to be the worst of it. And I suspect this is where it was hanging off the shelf, right? So I expect that maybe it was on the shelf and the shelf above it was like right up to here. And this is the part that was like sticking out, because this would have been what was open to the air. So let me just get that really, really well, right? Scrub, scrub, scrub. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Really, really good. And the bottom, scrub, scrub, scrub. And for this one, let's go ahead and get that opened up and take a look at what that corner damage looks like on the inside, just to make sure. So we have our mice. And, okay. So it actually looks to me like we are, you see how it's like lighter and darker in certain spots? I think it is coming off. That speckling, I don't think we're ever gonna get rid of fully, but that nasty like staining on the cover itself, I think is gone. So that is good. Oh yeah, that looks much better now. Let me just get that fully done. Much, much better. See? And this is exactly the kind of like little detail work that could potentially have ruined this book in the long run. But we're catching it nice and early, no lasting damage, other than a little bit of staining, and we can deal with that. But yeah, isn't this cute? It's an alphabet book that has like a cat illustration. A, because he is amiable, amenable, altogether adorable. His name is Abednego? He lives in Apple Tree Wick. He artfully eats artichokes. And I love him. Let's see, let's do one more, just to check. D for Deanie, maybe. I love my cat with a D, because he is diabolic, dramatic, and debonair. His name is Dominic. He lives in Dis. He daringly eats dragies, deviled drumsticks, and donuts, although he leaves the holes. There he is. Very, familiar. Oh, gosh. F and G are together. Let me just flip towards the end just to see the back cover really good. But I think we mostly got it. F and G are a little bad. Here we go. This is much better. And of course, it can be hard to tell at first, because even as I'm lightening the color, I'm darkening the paper by dampening it, so it could take several passes before a book is fully restored. But look, F and G, and they're together, and they're reading! Tag yourself. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this one aside. It smells like a salad in here. Okay. And let's see. Next up, we have the Tea Dragon Society. I love this series. It is by Katie O'Neill, and some of you guys might find it familiar. I actually have the Tea Dragon Society card game as well. It's a little deck building game, and I love it. It's like one of my favorite like games to play when we have company over or something. And I love this artist. she's got another series called Princess Ever After, but she mostly does like graphic novels and storybooks like this, you know, big picture books, and they are for all ages. So, you know, kid friendly, but there is some nuance to it. Like I really like that it is for children and it is child appropriate, but it's not like talking down to them. You know, there's a lot of really subtle, nuanced, emotional beats in the story, and the author does not really like go out of her way to over explain and over analyze everything. It just kind of is what it is, and I love that. There's also a positive female friendship, which I'm here for it, you know. And there's also some queer vibes, very queer vibes. So perfect if you are looking for a child-friendly option for maybe some Pride Month, either like donations to a book drive, or if you are looking for something to read to maybe a youngster, like a cousin or friend's kid, something like that, this would be a good option, especially if they like tea and especially if they like dragons. Really love this series. Really, it's not as strong as you expected? Well, it's probably because I'm just like sitting right in front of it. But look how gorgeous this is. I mean, it's just full of these soft, colorful these illustration cells. I love it. Next, we have another journal. This one was a gift from my friend. I've known her since high school. I met her senior year, and you know, we're very different. We're two extremely different people, and somehow we just hit it off. I couldn't even begin to explain it to you. But how perfect is this journal, though? Like, she saw this, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I know who needs this." And so it's this like beautiful, like indigo purple color, with the gold leaf throughout. The foil accents, very pretty. It's got like a celestial theme, almost like a tarot theme, with how the Roman numerals are at the bottom here, and the pages are all embossed, like, which funnily enough does mean that they're going to be a little bit more protected from contamination, right? A little bit less absorbent since they have this coating. Yeah, it's bae. Oh Lord. And then inside it's a dot journal, so you can make grids, you can free draw, you can write like normal on lines. This is super good if you're a DM and you need a journal that you can both write game notes in and draw like puzzles and maps and figures. A dot journal like this is a super helpful tool. Go ahead and set that aside. Next up we have another older book. This one is from a used bookstore. This is Letters from Maine by Mary Sarton, and I found this in an antique or resale bookshop in Bangor, I think, and it's so good. I mean, I don't know, May Sarton, I didn't know anything about her, never met her, right? Like, I've never even heard that name before, but I just picked this up because I really love when I can find books, especially poetry books or folklore books, that are specific to an area that I live or that I've lived. And so I lived in Maine for a few years, and so I was just so happy to find this book of poems, right? Letters from Maine, specific to Maine. Um, and so but you know, poetry is so personal. It can be really a challenge to find a poet that you really click with and mesh with enough to pick up a whole collection. And so I just, you know, offhandedly picked this up and I read the first one and I was instant buy. I knew I wanted it immediately. Let's see. Let me see if I can find you guys one that is just particularly moving. I have some. Try to find someone. Let's see. With snowfall. That's not the right season for that. Oh. April. If I could just get my gloves to turn the page, that would be nice. Okay, here's one. No title, just number 2. Let me see if I can get this to focus. Maybe. 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 No. Okay. Here joy does live quite close to agony. But why does everyone see only pain? Now I am with my deepest self again. Why are they so afraid? Afraid for me? Who must be changed? Only myself, of course. But this has always been the work at hand. I live by its inexorable demand, and must be changed to reach the deepest source. Who to be hurt? Who to be killed but me? The phoenix who must burn to die and live. Who says that through my death I am nothing give? Though I am nothing, the fire is mystery. Who cannot see this curious work of grace? Who tells the poet, silence, danger here? God knows I live each day in greater fear, and out of agony structure my face, to sustain tension, yet discover poise, for this magnificent of severe joys. Like, I just love it. I love how she throws a little rhyme in there every once in a blue. Okay. But again, just due to the age of this one, I'm just gonna gently take my wet cloth here and wipe the edges of the pages. Make sure that any kind of like staining or discoloration I'm paying special attention to. But so far it looks pretty good. And I don't see any damage on any of the interior pages. Oh. Here's another. So this is Sabriel by Garth Nix, and this is another library edition, right? You can see where the help me out, the scanner, the barcode, there it is. You can see where the barcode that would have been scanned has been removed from the jacket, but you can still see the it says F for fiction and then NIX for Nixon, right? That's how they are organized. And this is actually a very special, for me personally, library edition, because this is from the library that I personally worked at. And not only did I work at that library, I kind of lived there. You know, my parents both worked super early in the morning and they worked until late at night, so unless I was in a club or something, which I was too antisocial for, I was often unsupervised, and I spent a lot of that time unsupervised reading because it was one of the only things that I could do. And once that started, I started spending a lot of my unsupervised time in the library. I would be there in the morning before it would even open. The librarian would like come in with her keys for the day to unlock, and she'd find me sitting on the doorstep with my bag and books all spread out around me waiting for her. And the same thing in the afternoons, right? Like I would show up and sit and read until closing, and then the librarian would have to find me first among the stacks and then kick me out. And I guess she just felt bad for me after a while because they let me just start working there. So they let me start shelving the books, and then they let me start working behind the desk, checking the books in and out, and stamping the library cards. And so that would be what I would do every morning and every afternoon. And so after a couple years, this was one of my favorite books, and it was damaged to the point where they were going to take it out of circulation. And I don't remember exactly, like you can kind of see where some of the pages here are warped. I don't know if it was water damage or if it was this split down the spine here. You can see where the glue has failed, right? And the spine is kind of splitting. So honestly, like any of that could have been why. But she was about to take it out of circulation, and I was so sad. I was like, no, you can't take it out of circulation. Like, and she's like, relax, we're gonna replace it. And I was like, but that one. And so she gave it to me. Look at, here's the original. Here's the original books sleeve, the library card. She put a fresh one in just for me, right? And this has been in here ever since, and just makes me happy. A fun little reminder that somebody once saw some random kid, you know, who just had way too much unsupervised time and did something nice. That's the kind of librarian I want to be, you know? And that's the kind of space that I want our library here to be. You know, anybody who has been unsupervised for extended periods of time and requires just a little bit of companionship, you're in the right place. There we go. Okay. Also, I mean, it's a great book in and of itself. Like Sabriel, Lyriel, Abhorsen, all by Garth Nix. It's an incredible series. It can be a little spooky and a little dark at times, so you know, obviously, like reader discretion is advised. But I just thought it was incredibly creative, extremely unique take on a fantasy setting. A great, you know, very nuanced, very complex female lead. Loved it. Return of the Raccoons. This is just another journal that I picked up. It's difficult for me to keep track of multiple storylines that I'm working on in game in one journal. So it's easier for me to have multiple that I can flip between, you know, and some of them will be this campaign, some of them will be that campaign, some of them will be dungeon notes, some of them will be puzzle notes, you know, that type of thing. But in case you are noticing a theme here, yes, raccoon core. I think this one is just blank inside. It actually has some lines in the days of the week in case you're trying to track something with that. I don't need that much functionality, but ooh. I know it's my own collection, so I shouldn't be like surprised and impressed, but I am. Sure, I definitely don't just like collecting journals. Listen, all right? If I let myself really collect journals, we would be in trouble. We wouldn't have any room in the house. This is a really interesting book, Tarot in Psychology. I love tarot. I love divination. I think it's fascinating. I'm not about to like make any major life decisions based off of it, but I do think it's interesting, and I think it can be an interesting tool for like, just self-reflection and journaling and creativity. So I picked up this book because I was interested in a lot of the discussions of like archetype and how the kind of tropes found in the tarot are like psychologically relevant. Super interesting. If you like tarot, especially like, where's Tolatier at? I don't know if he's still around, but if he's still here, Tolatier also does a tarot redeem, and I feel like this is the kind of thing that would be right up his alley, right? Because you've got, let me see where some of my, right? First, post-Jungian today find obvious parallels between the tarot's major arcana and the archetypal images of Jung's collective unconscious, as will be explored in chapters 6 and 7. Such obvious examples of correspondence between the Empress and the archetype of the Great Mother, the Lovers and the archetype of Anima and Animus, the Hermit and the archetype of the Wise Old Man, and so on, can be followed throughout the major arcana, which, as Jung himself suggests, may comprise a full compendium of the archetypes of transformation. Still, other significant parallels are found as well. Tarot's minor arcana divisions into 4 suits naturally correspond to the 4 elements of Hermeticism and the 4 personality functions of Jungian typology: thinking, aka swords, feeling, or cups, intuition, or wands, and sensation, or pentacles. So, if you're into psychology, especially if you're into Jung and the 16 personality types, the Myers-Briggs indicator, MBTI, like, if you're into that stuff, I highly recommend, right? Like, we've got a real good breakdown. The author is knowledgeable about both psychology and mysticism, so you get a pretty nice balance of both. Highly recommend. Okay. I guess we've just like hit a witchy section of my collection here, because now we have the Line Strider's Journey, which is another tarot deck and guidebook. The deck is floating around here somewhere. Not exactly sure where at the moment, but this is the like fully fleshed out illustrated guidebook, and as you can see, it's tabbed to hell by my various points of study. This was my favorite and like go-to deck for a long time. I really like the art in it. I like how colorful it is. I like that it is not like super violent or very heavily gendered. A lot of it is more neutral, and I appreciate that. It's also got a lot of like natural kind of symbolism, which I also like a lot. But to give you just like a little sneaky peek, little preview here, let's see. So all of the pages are high gloss, which is really beautiful. And look at that, that's the world. Isn't she gorgeous? I mean, she's very different from a lot of the depictions of the world I've seen. Still, like a generally kind of female figure looking, but just the amount of chaos and clutter in the image is so different from a lot of the world images I've seen, but it's still so beautiful. She also has this kind of style where it looks like an ink spill almost on the page, like watercolor is the best kind of way I can think to describe it, but it looks like if you dropped a dot of food coloring in a glass of water, right, and like watched it swirl around. That's how a lot of the colors are in this. Here's a good example. See, like the fox is colored in kind of like normal, but then you have this kind of brushwork up here that's just very soft and I don't know, it just looks kind of blurry and flowy. Makes it look more magical. Yeah, the water spots are super cool. This also is one of my favorite fools in any deck of all time. Let me show you. The Fool is just like one of my personal favorite cards. But look at this one. It's unfinished. There's no face. There's no body. It's just arms and legs and the little bird companion in place of the dog because sometimes it is a bird. But I love how the details have been left out because it's like the Fool's journey is just beginning and the Fool isn't really like a complete person yet. It's only by embarking on this journey and going forward and moving through the rest of the Arcanum that you are going to fill in the rest of these details. And it's so beautifully represented by this unfinished painting. It's so cool. All right. Continuing on theme, we have light magic for dark times. A fun, very like hopeful collection of spells and rituals and exercises that you can do. And I really appreciate the theme, right? Because it just has to do with acknowledging the fact that the world is a scary place, full of scary things and scary people and hardship. And this book, although it's not going to fix everything, it's certainly not going to, you know, magically fix all of your problems. But doing a little bit of, you know, one of their little rituals inside might help you feel a little bit better. And honestly, at the end of the day, that is the greatest magic of all. No, just kidding. Friendship is the greatest magic of all. We all know that. Just clean these pages off. And then, let's see. I have something bookmarked in here, but I don't know what it is. Let's take a look together. Oh, it's the Zodiac. Inspirational Zodiac practice for when you need some celestial mojo. What season are we in? We're not in Leo yet. Are we in Cancer? Cancer says, allow yourself to feel things strongly. Organize your organize your closet, celebrate your vulnerabilities, take a bubble bath, help others. And honestly, all of those sound like sound advice, whether you're a Cancer or not. Oh, you want to see Gemini? Let's see, really quick. Go for Gemini. I am a Gemini moon, I will say. So if ever you guys have been like, gosh, what is going on with that Deanie? She is all over the place. I can't tell if she's coming or going. Yeah, that would be the Gemini moon. Sorry. Okay. Gemini. Oh. Communicate ideas, make things happen. Finish your task list. Be the life of the party. Make a killer playlist for the week ahead. You heard them, girly pops. Get to those playlists. Let's see. This is another, like, psychology meets mysticism. This book was actually recommended to me by my therapist at the time. It's super good. It's called The Women Who Run with Wolves, Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype. And so again, you're hearing that word archetype, kind of hearkening back to Jung, where the wild woman is this trope, you know, of kind of like the woman who runs with wolves and all of that. I've always really identified with the wild woman archetype, not necessarily because I feel like I could run with wolves, but more like I feel like I get treated like the wild woman a lot of the time, in that she is often not welcome in society or societal spaces, right? Because it's the wildness that characterizes her. So she often has a hard time adapting to civilized life. And what do I always say about myself, right? Like, feral. Oh, thank you.
I will be back with it.
Oh, it's okay. I wouldn't bring it in here because it'll smell like vinegar to me. So I'll come out there and eat.
Okay.
Ah. Actually, would you take this back? I clearly can't be trusted.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I just tried to drink out of a straw, in case you guys are wondering, and somehow I missed my mouth, and it came like flying out and all over my lap. So just a moment. Technical difficulties. Okay. I think I am gonna finish this last. I think I'm gonna do this book and one more, and that will finish out my like witchy section, and then I will call it here. Do not need to do all of these in one sitting. I can just put them back in their container. So just gonna wipe the edges of this book down really, really well. Make sure that everything is good. I don't see any other like kind of signs of damage. Smells okay. Here you can see that I put in my own, you know, my own library card, as I am wont to do. Okay. And then, The Women We Become. This is fun and interesting. I actually was reading this book as a part of, like, not a book club, but sort of a book club. I was hanging out with a lot of Unitarian Universalists for a while, and they were all, for the most part, like retirees, like older ladies with grandkids and stuff like that. And we had a weekly like get together, and one of them suggested that we read this book. She said that she had just finished some sort of like class or convocation or something where they all read this book and did like a workbook based on it. It was really, really good and rewarding and fulfilling. And it's sort of like about aging and, you know, in terms of like, if you're gonna go full witchy, like you could kind of say that this is sort of in honor of looking forward to becoming the crone, right? Like the woman in question is the crone. You know, and so not really targeted towards me personally, but I still found it quite fascinating. I also really, really like it because there's not very many narratives for older women. You know, if you want to be an evil witch in the bog, sure. You can, you know, or you want to be the village crazy lady, sure. But I think we definitely see way more, like, Obi-Wan Kenobis in terms of, like, wizened old masters than we do of, you know, like, female mentors or elderly female mentors. And I think that's a real shame because it kind of sends this message to readers that if you're a woman, if you're female, your adventure ends once you grow up, you know, and you're no longer the maiden. You lose all relevance to the narrative. and other than as wicked old bog witch, right? Which is fine. I'm greatly looking forward to the day that I, get to come into my full power and, inherit my bog. But at the same time, I know that that's not everybody's cup of tea, and it would be nice to see more representation of older women as the heroes of their own stories, right? Or as the wise mentor, or you know the grizzled, like, old mercenary, right? Like, we see older, and I hate to be a binary about this, but we see older male characters fulfilling these roles. All right, how old is Geralt of Rivia? And before you get at me and tell me he doesn't age and all of that because of his magic nonsense, my guy has, like, gray hair and does age, just slower. So, take a look at somebody like Geralt, who still gets to be an action hero and still gets all the girls and still gets, to save the day. And then look at Yennefer, like, literally his exact opposite in the same narrative. She's also an immortal magic MacGuffin, but she's specifically frozen at a point in time where she looks young and beautiful and vibrant. She's the maiden, forever, frozen. And that's what I'm saying. Like, these narratives don't allow women to age and still be relevant. So I really liked that we kind of went into that. Not really something that I had the chance to be exposed to up to that point, since I don't really have a lot of retirees in my circle, or at least I didn't up to that point. Let's see. Alright, last one I think we'll do for this sitting, just because I do have to. Actually, you know what? We'll do these last two. I just found another one that I want to do. Two more, I promise. Here is the tarot activity book. I think I've mentioned this on stream before, but basically it is a bunch of writing and journaling exercises that are all based on the tarot. And this was another gift from my therapist, because I had brought tarot cards to a session one day because I just did not know how else to explain to her certain concepts. And she was really intrigued, so she did a lot of research on her own and brought this book in, and I was so stoked. So listen, girly pops, if you're trying to find a therapist, if you are in therapy and you're not satisfied with your therapist, like, they're out there. There are good ones out there who will put in the work and who care about you personally and want to make your experience unique to you and help you as much as possible. So basically what I'm trying to say is, if you think therapy could help you but you're nervous, if you've been in therapy before and you're discouraged because it didn't work, try again with a different provider, with a different, background. Things can be very different. I promise you. Just don't give up. And don't settle. Don't settle. I know it's a pain in the ass, but if you have the ability, shop around. Find that therapist who will go this extra mile and, find you a book full of exactly what you are into, right? And look at all of my page marks here. So clearly, we're going to have some fun on this channel. So look forward. We'll do some of these in the future. Okay. Now, really last but not least is the Fifth Spirit Tarot Guide. I have this deck, and I think I kickstarted this deck, actually. What's really unique about this one, just in time for Pride, is that this one really took a look at the gender binary present in the classic tarot. You've got the Emperor and the Empress. You've got the King and the Queen. It's very binary. And this deck, through art and through the descriptions of the cards, endeavors to break that down and really kind of dismantle it piece by piece. And they certainly kept certain aspects. You know, there's still the Empress, the Hierophant, you know, the Magician, but through the art and through the card descriptions and the characters present, they really have created a tarot that I think is extremely approachable for people that maybe are feeling a little bit ostracized or a little bit, um, neglected because they are non-gender binary or, don't identify with the definitions of femininity and masculinity as presented in the classical tarot. Um, just to give you an idea, one of my favorite cards in this deck in particular is the Lovers. And I'm not gonna lie, I struggle with the Lovers card in other decks because they always, or almost always, represent romantic love. And while that is important and that is beautiful, it's not always right. It's not always appropriate for the reading. It's not always appropriate to the person. What if you're a person who doesn't experience romantic love or very seldom does? So the Lovers in this deck is extremely unique. It's the same person, right, who doesn't necessarily have like an obvious gender. There's no specific gender marks. And I know that's super blurry. Let me take my glove off and see if I can get the camera to focus. Glove. Okay. If I can get her to focus in. That help? Not really. Zoom. Yeah, there she is. Okay. So this is the Lovers. And as you can see, it's the same person. Not super gendered, but this is them and their surface level self, right? And then this is their shadow self, and they are the Lovers. It's self-love and just the concept of love. And I just think that it's such a refreshing take. You never see it, or almost never. And for me, like I said, that just makes this card much more accessible and much more relatable, and kind of easier for me to feel a connection to when I'm trying to do a reading. And just to give you an idea, like that's in black and white. The cards are all in color, and they are Gorgina. I mean, the Emperor here, excuse me, with those like those gray kind of phantom horns coming off. So freaking cool. Okay. And with that, I think it is a good time to take a break. And at the very least, I need to refresh my materials here because my bowl of vinegar is getting nasty. You can see all that. Yummy. Salad dressing. And obviously all of the paper towels and stuff that I've been using are gross. So now is definitely a good time to refresh. I'm gonna go ahead and move us over to the Just Chat screen.
Oh, so you intend to fight me? Good. I won't kill you, Traveler. I'll just play along to feel the thrill of battle.
Wait. Damn it. Why do I never have this ready when you arrive? Hang on. Hold, please. There it is. Here we go. I see. Well, redeem is to welcome Seer, right? Like, it's more like you're announcing to all of us that it is Seer. And it is. Actually, is Seer streaming? Let me try to find out. Okay. No. no, she's not streaming. Dang. Okay. Where should I send you, lovelies, then? How about... Eldridge Wawa. Let's see. Aid? Or should we do... You know what? Let's do Natty's Dreamland. She is playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. And I was just talking about my ideas for a attraction yesterday. So that works out quite serendipitously. Hooray! All right, everybody, stick around. I'm sending you off to Natty's Dreamland. She's playing Roller Coaster Tycoon. She is super, super chill, very nice, very cool and friendly. If you like hanging out with me, if you like hanging out with Campfire, like, I'm sure you will have a blast just watching her, you know, make the amusement park. So have fun. And if you guys saw any of the books today that you have questions about, if you want to follow up with me on any of the things that I talked about, please feel free to reach out to me either through the suggestions tile on my page. It's called Dream Journal, or you can come over to my Discord server. The link is in my bio. We have lots of exciting programming this month. We are reading Leviathans. It is a romantasy adventure with a sapphic queer main character. But more than that, it is danger. It is intrigue. It is archaeology. It is magic. And it is tech support. So check it out. All right, guys. I will catch you later.
Now we just need it to rain. Deanie! Welcome on into Naughty's Dreamland! Welcome to Naughty's Dreamland, where dreams come true every stream and where we say less gender roles, more heartline roles. I'm Naughty, and I'm playing some Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. This is Micro Mountaintop at the custom scenario where we have to achieve our 115k dollary dues at the end of October year 4. Year 2. Deanie wants you to know I'm Seer. Hi, Seer. Welcome on in. Feel like it's been a while since I've seen y'all. Sorry about that, but thankfully y'all are here now, and I'm seeing all of y'all. And hello, aye. Well, welcome on into Naughty's Dreamland.